know me very well at all, you've heard me say in the past that as a young man I decided pretty much everybody around me were wimps. That's because when I was young, I was able to do just about anything that I was ever expected to do and never had a problem being where I needed to be when I needed to be there and so forth. There are a few exceptions to that, and I talk about one of them in the notes for this particular video. I was paying attention to a sort of a documentary on a disabled folks home in Oregon that had its problems without a doubt. But one of them that I saw that was listed was the expectation that the people who were there get up and get about their day at a particular time every morning. And there were people who complained about that, didn't like it, didn't want it. And where I understand it on the one hand, I have to tell you that that's why I had to do a little piece today on discipline on the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I'm Kurt, and today is Monday, the 3rd of January of 2022. Welcome to everyone who's here on Rumble, the podcast, YouTube, BitChute, and CloutHub, and anywhere else you happen to be picking me up today. Subject for today is discipline. Let me get on with my notes so that you'll have some idea sort of where I'm going with what I'm saying. So, sorry, I'm having a little bit of problem with things being a little slicker than usual today, so I'm going to have to work things out. I'm special, in quotes. I admit it. As a young man, I was basically never late for anything. When I say I'm special, I'm being a little facetious, obviously, there. As an older teen or younger 20-something, I had one of my first experiences with tardiness, in fact. I chose possibly one of the worst places to do that, to wit, the United States Air Force. I was, stop me if you've heard this story before, I know you can't, sorry about that, tasked by the, quote, powers that be, end of quote, where I worked as a material facilities specialist, read here, warehouseman, to make the coffee before they made it into work. It wasn't a hard task, but even though up to that point I had pretty much never been late, I managed to mess it up by being late in one morning. Long story short, my supervisor, a staff sergeant in Air Force E5, pulled me to the side and asked me a simple question, or so it seemed to him. What happened? My response was a little more complicated. The power had gone out in my dormitory. I almost called it a barracks, but it was much nicer than most buildings described as such, and, quote, bumped my alarm clock, right? The result? My alarm failed to sound. Mind you, I was still at work before 8 in the morning, probably before 7, I don't remember for certain. His reply to me, get a battery alarm clock. Though he let it slide, he was having none of my excuses. When that happened, I was shocked. Looking back almost 40 years ago, no joke, what happened doesn't surprise me or bother me in the least. In short, my boss was correct. From that time to this, I have not relied on an AC, alternating current, plugged-in alarm. Mostly, I don't need an alarm at all. Look, I know you don't want to get up in the morning, but particularly as a child, life will dump you out of the sack. You may think that's cruel and unusual. The thing is, either you get up and do things, or life passes you by. One more thought. As a younger man, I worked every hour and every day known to man. Yeah, I worked Christmas. Yes, I worked midnight. Yes, I worked 2 in the morning. Yes, I worked 5 in the morning. Yes, I worked 4 in the afternoon. And some days all in the same day. Did I like that? No. Like it or not, I had just enough discipline to do it. And I might add, it didn't kill me. All right, I'm done with my notes. Back to that piece, that documentary, essentially, on the home in Oregon, in which they did, mind you, some horrible things. And I'm not trying to excuse those or make light of them or count them good or acceptable or proper or anything else. Okay? Back to that time, though. Okay, back to that place. One thing that in my viewpoint, they did not do wrong, and particularly not where children were concerned, but really people in general, where people in general are concerned, is to make it so that those individuals who are in that facility woke up, did things that needed done, and moved on. By the way, excuse my son if you hear him in the background. He's a little bit on the undisciplined side, as you expect from most kids, right? Okay, anyway, back to the point. Lobotomies, bad. Electroconvulsive therapy, shock treatment, whatever you want to call it, generally speaking, bad. Locking kids in cages, keeping adults in cribs, bad. Okay? I'm not a sponsor or in agreement with any of those things. And quite frankly, a lot of the methods that they supposedly use to teach people, bad. The assumptions drawn a lot of the times about where people were going to end up. Very obviously bad, just looking at the people, lots of them who were there, and when the place finally shut down, are now living maybe not the world's most productive lives, but they're certainly not living lives where they have to be constantly taken care of and looked after. And in fact, as has been pointed out, a lot of those people were basically used as unpaid labor. I won't call it slave labor exactly, but unpaid labor to do work to help those who were more severely disabled, which I don't agree with. If you're going to have people in a facility where they need to be taken care of, you don't use the people that are there to take care of them. I will say that I'm a little bit torn on that, but not largely. If you're going to do that, you need to pay them because they're doing the work, and you should be paying them for what they're doing. That's the point, I guess. All of this. And by the way, forced sterilization. If you want to exit the facility, no, that's not appropriate at all. I don't even care if you think that the person is feeble-minded or whatever, which I don't buy for most of the people in question anyway. That's not okay. That said, getting back to my original concept, the original idea of this piece, discipline is something that we all should learn. I know it's not fun. It's not exciting. We don't want to do it. But the reality is, we must get to the point where we can meet life head on. And I have news for you. If you're not willing to be disciplined, that's not happening. My son has to get up and go to school. He's moderately autistic. He still has to get up and go to school, just like lots of other kids do every day. And I end up, working him out of bed every morning, and it's a little bit hard to do. And I'm hoping over the course of time it'll get better and better, but maybe not. My point is this. He must have the discipline to get himself to school and do the things that are necessary there to learn what he needs to know in order to make his life a better place. He just has to. Nobody's going to make that happen for him. People will work very hard to try. They will do what they can to make that happen, but they're only going to make that so possible. He's got to do the rest of the work. And let me just be clear. I'm not saying that he's not. I'm saying that, in fact, he is, that he's actually, in some senses, quite admirable in his ability to do that. So I'm not sitting here telling you, he's not that way. And I'm not sitting here telling you that the folks who were in that particular home that the documentary was about weren't often quite diligent as well in that regard. I'm simply saying it's okay to say giving people lobotomy, shock treatment, abuse, sexually abusing, stealing from people who were disabled, all of that kind of stuff is horrible stuff. That's horrible. Expecting people to display discipline and to be able to do things like get themselves out of bed in the morning, that's not bad. Now, maybe the way they treated it, maybe the way they responded was wrong, but it's not bad to expect people to do those things, to have that expectation of people. And this is kind of what I want to get across today. And obviously that means that's true for the rest of us as well. We need to be able to get up, get out, and do what we got to do. And there will be times when we won't feel like it, and there will be times when we shouldn't do it, when we're sick or whatever. And I'm not trying to say that that's not true. All I'm trying to get across is discipline is an important part of life if you want to have a good life. That's just all I'm trying to say. Okay, I need to go ahead and wrap up. I'm a little over time already. This is the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I'm Kurt, and today is Monday, the 3rd of January of 2022. That means tomorrow will be Tuesday, the 4th of January of 2022, blah, 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 excuse me. And I will be headed back to a normal work day tomorrow. Not sure if I'll be in the workplace or out. Because of some things that special dispensations that have been made. Thank you for everyone who's been here on Rumble, on the podcast, on YouTube, on BitChute, and on CloudHub, and anywhere else you might have caught me today. Remember, Rumble is my preferred platform. You can give me a boxing glove on Rumble. That is a Rumble. You can give me a plus to show that you enjoyed my content. If you want to do that, you can give me a minus if you weren't so happy with it. Obviously, on any other platform, that includes YouTube, where you can give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, which is a like or a dislike. You can do likewise. You can give me a yes, I liked your content, or no, I didn't. You can subscribe anywhere subscribing is possible, and I will appreciate it if you do that, because obviously it makes it clear to me people are actually paying enough attention to me to kind of regularly check in and see what's going on. If you're not willing to do that, I'm not so hot on you subscribing. You can do it if you want, but I really would prefer that if you weren't interested in paying me mine, you made that clear by negative feedback if you feel the need, or by comments, which, by the way, you can comment on any platform I'm on where I put my content that has comments available, and I'll pay attention to it if I possibly can do that. In any case, the subject for today has been discipline, and tomorrow we're going to talk about news neutrality, which is a concept that I heard somebody come up with that I'm going to take not umbrage with, but definite disagreement with, and we'll talk about that on tomorrow's edition of the show. Hope that you're having a good day today and everything is going well for you. Hope that you're getting into this new year, and as you're doing so, things appear to be improving for you. If not, I'll continue to pray that things will do so for everybody who pays attention to me. I'm happy you're here, and I can't be concerned with every second of your life, but I obviously am interested to know that folks are doing well. And so again, hope things are going well for you. And as always, I really would like to see you again on Tuesday's edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This video was recorded on Monday, the 3rd of January of 2022. The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for watching this edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I hope you found it entertaining or instructional, or maybe both. If you want to see more from me, you can go to blogs.kpschubert.com. That's blogs.kpschubert.com. I am on Twitter, Parler, and Minds.com. My handle on each of those is @kpschubert. That's @kpschubert. I have a Rumble and a YouTube channel. They are the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels on Rumble and YouTube. I have a Facebook page. The Facebook page is Kurt's Religion and Politics as well. I am on Patreon. If you want to support me, that's one of the better places you can do that. And you will find me at Kurt's Religion and Politics on Patreon. I have a podcast. The podcast is podcasts with an S, .kpschubert.com. That's podcasts.kpschubert.com. I think you should be able to find me with relative ease on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify as well. The best way I find to do that is to look for Kurt's Religion and Politics. You can try to use the Daily Summation. I find that it doesn't work as well as a general rule, but you can always try that. I'm glad to have you aboard today, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow.